Welcome. Welcome to the Delphi Economic Forum session on enabling a sustainable future through innovation. I'm Christina Deligianni, the Public Policy Officer of the EPLO, Institute for Sustainable Development, an international organization with headquarters in Athens and offices around the world. It is a distinct pleasure to welcome esteemed speakers from various sectors of the public and private sector. Mr. Petros Varelidis, the Secretary General, Natural Environment and Water from the Greek Ministry of Environment and Energy. Welcome. Ms. Larregle, Regional Managing Director, Southern Europe for VISA, and Mr. Aris Vrettos, the Director for the Center of Business Transformation, Cambridge Institute for Sustainability Leadership, and also an advisory board member of the Institute for Sustainable Development. Welcome, everyone. So the focus of our session today is how different players from the private and public sectors can enable a sustainable future through innovation and transformation, and the collaboration opportunities that exist among the different actors. Some questions we will be touching are the changes that are required for businesses and governments to achieve this ambitious target, the value of sustainability, and how we can build relevant thought leadership on how to reach environmental goals whilst at the same time being even more competitive, with many concrete examples of partnership initiatives across private and public sectors. So my first question to the Secretary General is how the Ministry and how the government at large address sustainability and ensure innovation and creativity.
Well, you know,
it's on. I think it's on.
It's clear we are the Ministry of Environment, so sustainability is at the heart of everything we do, or that's the way it is supposed to be. But I think that's the way it is. If you look at all our framework laws, being the waste law or being the climate law that hopefully we will introduce at the Parliament in April, I think it is clear that sustainability is at the heart of all our efforts. Of course, we need not to forget where we stand. Mm-hmm. So first thing we need to do is do, common sense measures, because this is not so obvious. Common sense is not applied. As a general rule, we don't use common sense. So first we need to focus on common sense, and then of course we need to promote sustainability through innovative solutions. We need to remove legal barriers to new ideas. We need to become less rigid from a legal point of view. We need to establish new tools that can guide the private sector and of course the public sector to sustainability. Our main legal tool for that right now is the new climate climate law.
The consultations have closed, right?
Yes, of course. And hopefully before Easter we will introduce it in the Parliament. So there are quite a few provisions try to put sustainability, being the carbon footprint or ESG criteria, at the heart of the public and the private sector. And one point I want to raise is that since last year we have a new EU regulation which is very important. Mm-hmm. It's going to play a pivotal role in promoting sustainability, and that is the taxonomy regulation. Mm-hmm. This is a very important new piece of legislation that we believe is going to be used as a driver for sustainability and for innovation towards sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much. Ms. Larregle, what does VISA do to promote sustainability and promote innovation at the same time?
Thank you, Christina. So let me start by saying that at VISA we believe that a thriving economy requires a healthy and a sustainable planet, and in turn a sustainable and inclusive economy uplifts everyone, everywhere. In the 2020s, as we all know, are a critical and decisive decade for critical climate action. And for this, we will require innovative approach, obviously, but also collaboration, strategic investment, and all this supported by strong policy action. So at Visa, as a purpose-driven company, we contribute to these efforts by using our technology, our network, and our brand to support sustainable commerce. And we believe that our efforts in that space, which are key part of our sustainability ESG strategy.
Ms. Larregle, can you please move a bit forward so that
Sure.
we can all hear you? Because I think there's a problem with sound. Can you tell us, can the technicians tell us that everything is okay now?
Sorry, is it okay?
Is it better?
Can you hear me better? Thank you. Good. So I was saying that these efforts are a key part of our ESG strategy, and we believe our industry best practice, starting from our pledge towards net zero emission by 2040, which is actually 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement. We also believe that when we turn to our industry, the payment technology industry, we believe that that industry has got the power to bolster sustainability in many aspects of societies and economies. And this is why we really use sustainability as a key part of our innovation strategy. And to fully understand how innovation in digital payments can really help the environment, and to identify opportunities and new capabilities when it comes to electronic payments in that space, we have launched a collaboration with the Cambridge Institute of Sustainable Leadership, and I'm delighted to be with Aris today. I'm sure you will touch on this. And we've launched this collaboration to really better understand how we can help move the needle even more. So the ecosystem for consumption and commerce has evolved, and we believe that consumers really want to do the right thing, and our role is really to inspire consumers to change their behaviors and to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. And for us to use our technology and our innovation to remove the friction between the intent of the consumers to change their behavior to their actions. So remove the friction from sustainable behaviors. So how do we do this? We analyze the consumption and the footprint of that consumption from individuals and businesses. And then we leverage those connections to work with our partners, our clients, and governments to embed sustainability across the payment system to enable shifts in consumer behaviors.
Mr. Vrettos, what does the Cambridge Institute for Sustainable Leadership do in terms of sustainability and innovation? You're the director of the Center for Business Transformation. You're doing amazing work, amazing initiatives in that field. Would you like to elaborate on this?
Sure, thank you. I think the issues are so urgent and so complex sometimes, and so simple at the same time. So you can't really address economic inequality, you can't protect and restore nature, and you can't address climate change, especially if you want to do it in a coordinated way. So not at the expense of one another, particularly when you think of things like just transition and protecting the economic livelihoods of people. And the fact that we have to accelerate significantly over the next decade. You have to be able to combine, as a society, as an economy, innovation and systemic change. And the role of the private sector, of course, the role of policy, and the role of innovators and disruptors, and of course, financial markets and investors is crucial. The Institute, we are part of a CSL, as we call the Institute. We are part of an 800-year-old university. So change doesn't necessarily come very easily, even in our own terms. But we have seen how we have been able to accelerate at least the relationships and the collaborations between academia, the private sector, and policy. And we have a lot of examples in that regard. We work very closely at the Center for Business Transformation with businesses. We also have a Center for Policy Transition and a Center for the Center for Sustainable Finance. And all our research and education points in the same direction. How to help the world accelerate the transition to a sustainable economy by 2030, and so on. There's many good examples of both collaboration and innovation. We're about to move into our brand new office in Cambridge at CISL called Entopia, which is a retrofit of a 1930s telephone exchange. And believe me, most buildings in Cambridge are not very highly energy efficient. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of thinking to retrofit. But we have sought over the last couple of years to develop something that achieves both low carbon optimization and to reduce that as much as possible and to maximize well-being. We work with policymakers, the aviation sector, with the private sector and financial incentives to identify how can we accelerate the transition to sustainable biofuels, for example. And that's what we do at the Institute. We play this central role. If we leave it just to academia, if we leave it just to business, if we leave it just to policymakers, of course there will be action, of course there will be activities, but there's a strong likelihood that we will continue to develop those in some sort of isolation. And probably without combining the rigor, the effectiveness, and the uptake that's necessary, that all these sectors, if you like, bring and take. And the last example to share from the work that we do at the moment at CSL is our canopy. We have an SME accelerator and an incubator. Part of the Entopia building, we're working with the plan is to work with hundreds of SMEs and startups so we can bridge that gap between incumbents and disruptors. Because yes, we have to change the rules, yes, we have to address lifestyles, behavior change, and so on and so on. We also have to come up not just with new technologies, but new business models. Some of those are sometimes very simple, but difficult to implement. Others are a little bit more radical.
So from new business models and new technologies, the question to you, Mr. Varelidis, is there are so many challenges that the Greek public sector at large has to face, but it can also profit a lot from innovation. So I'm thinking, sensors and modeling that can help to fight climate change at large and wildfires during the summertime. And I'm also thinking of energy storage opportunities because this is much needed with the energy security crisis that we are facing in Greece. So my question is, what are the challenges and what are the solutions that you would consider to be the priorities that are needed to foster, to promote innovation and promote sustainability and ensure an energy future or a future-proof innovation for all of us in Greece?
Well, as I said in the previous question, first thing we need to do, and that's very important, that's why I repeat it, is do the obvious things. As government, we have the policy-making ability. We can legislate, okay? So we can use the law in order to steer things one way or another. So steer things towards sustainability. And we also have ways and resources to give money to innovative solutions to promote sustainability. For instance, you know very well RRF and the cohesion funds. About 1/3 of RRF and the cohesion funds goes to climate change and environment action. So there's a lot of money available. We also have other funds established by the Ministry of Environment, for instance, the Green Fund, or we also have the revenues for the ETS allowances. We have the revenues that we collect from the fee to plastic containers and plastic cups that will go for the reinvention of the single-use plastic industry, their transformation that is needed in order to serve a more sustainable production model. So we have the resources to make a change. On the other hand, we are not a university, we're not academia, we don't promote research. Okay? We promote innovation that has practicable solutions. In many projects we do, like life projects, there are very good solutions because you mentioned forest fires. There are tools that can predict in real time, based on the meteorological condition, where the fire will go. However, the problem we face is that we build these tools, but then we don't do the follow-up. So the challenge is to find smart ways to, whenever we build a new tool, to be able to apply it continuously. And there, I think the solution is that we need to involve more the private sector, because the public sector does not have the human resources to support, in many cases, the implementation of these new tools. So whenever we make such a tool, we need at the same time to have ensured that the private sector will be assigned to run this tool at least for 3, 4, 5 years in order to give enough time to the public administration to be able to do it by itself, because that's where the main problem lies.
I see. Mrs. Larregle, the payment and financial sectors are very dynamic sectors. They're fast-growing sectors in terms of innovation, in terms of digital transformation. Are there any initiatives in terms of ESG, in terms of diversity? Any highlights from the Greek market and the work that you have undertaken here?
Absolutely. So thanks for the question. So if we take the example of sustainability, again, a key part of our ESG strategy. So the first thing we do is that we embed sustainability into payment cards and accounts. We launched in December 21 the Visa Eco Benefit Bundle. This is available to our clients in Greece, and that bundle does include a number of curated green products, banking products, starting with a real-time calculator of footprint that consumers leave with their, when they purchase and when they consume. And this is really to give, to educate consumers and to give them access to information when it comes to their, to the impact that they have with their consumptions. This also, and this calculator has been developed by a partner called Ecolytic. And this bundle also includes a number of other items, including sustainable card materials and digital receipts, personalized education for consumers to help them to lead more sustainable lives, and also donations to environmental organizations when Visa cards are used, as well as a number of extended rewards, again, when Visa cards are used for sustainable behaviors. So that's on the product side. And then, as I explained earlier, we really want to work on removing the friction between the intent and the behavior. And there's a number of key initiatives that we are doing on that space. One of them is urban mobility. We know we are now in a world where consumers do not want to have, they want to have no contact experience, and they want frictionless experience. And we believe that contactless payments are key for urban mobility, and we're working with more than 100 cities across Europe on urban mobility initiatives, and this includes as well initiatives that we're talking to a number of Greek authorities about. So that's urban mobility. And another key area is electronic vehicle. We really do believe that for Europe to meet its ambition of net zero target, the uptake and the widespread adoption of electrical vehicle will be key. And what we are doing at Visa, we are playing a leading role in ensuring and talking about interoperability between payment systems to make sure that we come to a point where charging for your vehicle is going to be as easy and as convenient as paying for a coffee. So we're playing a key role there and driving a lot of discussions around the ecosystem. And this will also be very important to Greece, because I do know that that's a big agenda for Greece, the electronic vehicle adoption. And also, when it comes to Greece, we launched an initiative called Visa for Athens, which is a multi-year initiative with the city of Athens to preserve the future of Athens and really help consumers, whether they are local cardholders or tourists, to have more sustainable behaviors. And also, again, in Greece, a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, our CEO for Europe, Charles Hogg, actually signed an MOU with the Greek Minister for Tourism for Visa to provide aggregated data and insights to help the ministry's efforts in driving for sustainable tourism recovery. So that's on the sustainability front. And obviously, diversity is also something that is very dear to our hearts at Visa. We really believe that diversity has got the power to really drive growth. And we have initiatives both internally, as you can imagine, but also externally. So internally, let me give you a few facts. First of all, a lot of our largest global markets are actually run by women. The CEO for Europe, Visa Europe, is Charlotte Hogg, a lady. My own management team, so I run Southern Europe, is made in majority made up of women. My group country manager and vice president for Greece, Malta, Cyprus, and Israel, Sevi, who's in the room today, is obviously the lady running the subcluster. And so that's something that is extremely important for us, and we're very passionate about, and will continue to be so. And then externally, we also run a number of key initiatives, which we are also very proud about. To only name a few, we have a global initiative that we've run for a number of years now that is called She's Next. And this is really a global initiative to help women entrepreneurs fund and run and grow their small businesses, because obviously small businesses in Europe, in Greece, and globally are the backbone of the economy. So we really do believe that driving diversity in that space is very critical. And also our global sponsorships. So Visa is known for being a key sponsor of sporting events. And one of the sporting events that we really, or the sports that we are very proud about, is that we are probably one of the first and probably one of the most important sponsors of international women football through FIFA and UEFA. And again, that's promoting diversity. And a few months ago, I was privileged to be launching the second half, which is a education program that we launched with La Liga in Spain, in Madrid, to promote a training program for international women footballers so that they can develop a career once they decide to leave the football field and football ground. So these are the kind of sponsorships that we believe can really help moving the agenda forward. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about SMBs as well, and we believe that driving SMBs and helping to further SMBs with that are run by women is something that is absolutely critical. And just lately, over the last couple of weeks, we actually announced a new role within Visa, which is a global head of inclusive design. And this is very much for us to take diversity and make it a key driver for our innovation. So that's another key example of how diversity is important to us.
Thank you so much. So from diversity practices and sponsorship opportunities to promote diversity and inclusion, to digital products that are innovative and have the power to change our daily lives. Mr. Vrettos, do you have any examples and best practices to share with us in terms of the work that CISL does?
Thank you. I think some of the examples that Bea mentioned are sort of very valid in the work that we've done together. What's the role of the payments sector in facilitating the low carbon transition? The examples of mobility, urban mobility, informing consumers and incentivizing them. Every sector has the opportunity to contribute significantly. We also have to take account of the science, of the hard limits. The latest IPCC report clearly highlighted we have to put limits on consumption. So we have to put restraints on global economic growth and bring that lower. I mean, inevitably, economic crisis might get the better of us, but we have to acknowledge now, even the IPCC does that for the first time, that we do not create sort of, if you like, the illusion that because we decouple supply chains, we decouple the methods of production, that we can continue to consume and not value resources the way we have done in the past. And that's why every sector with those types of initiatives has a tremendous role to play through innovation, through engaging and updating and informing consumers and citizens and so on as to what needs to change. The role of business in systemic change, I think, is going to become more and more pronounced because of the private sector, what the Secretary General mentioned in terms of the resources, the ability, and how we collaborate between us, whether that's academia, public sector, private sector, disruptors, SME startups, increasingly financial markets. We see a lot of innovation happening in how financial markets look at sustainability, the incentives they create, the products they create, and coming together at the table to understanding what the blockages are, what the barriers are, and how we can move forward a little bit or very, very rapidly. And I take the point about common sense, but we also have to take some leaps over the next couple of years so that we are able to address some of those issues before they become status quo, and there's very little that we can do about them, especially when it comes to climate change and the degradation and restoring some particular ecosystems around the world. A lot of that we don't know exactly how we can address, but we have emerging business models, a lot of ideas, and a lot of technologies and approaches that we do know. So bringing those together, and that's what we do at CISL and other parts, of course, other parts of the sustainability momentum. Just a quick comment, because I heard somebody talk about a little bit ESG and sustainability and so on. ESG is a wonderful momentum that we've had in the last 12, 18 months and so on, but in itself is not sufficient at all, because ESG does not compel companies to innovate at the scale and at the depth that's necessary to come up with the types of products and business models and services, i.e. change the value creation mechanism of the organization so radically that we can then think much more creatively about lifestyles, behavior change, and so on and so on.
Great, thank you so much. We only have a couple of seconds. Any last remarks? We only have 20 seconds.
Just to add that we are about to mobilize about 4 billion euros in the decarbonization fund of the non-connected Greek islands that we have won in the last ETS directive. So we expect that a lot of money will be diverted to decarbonizing a very specific area of the country. So a huge transformation is going to take place the next 5 years in the islands of mostly of the Aegean Sea.
We're very much looking forward to that. Thank you so much, esteemed speakers, and thank you so much to the participants here in the audience that are present and those that are watching us online. Thank you so much.